Centuries had passed since the last star exploded in battle. The once vibrant spiral arms of the galaxy lay silent, scared by the war of empires that had raged for millennia. Entire civilizations were erased, their worlds left as ash-strewn graveyards. The Vorthari Dominion and the Zeroan Continuum, two titanic powers, had clashed until neither could rise again. Their fleets, colossal and terrifying in their heyday, drifted as dead relics, hulks of metal and shadow, among the cold void. In this emptiness, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then, from the distant edge of the Orion Arm, a human scout ship slipped through a forgotten hyperspace corridor, blinking into existence amid the graveyard of shattered star systems. The vessel, UNSC Pathfinder, was small but swift, its sleek hull gleaming with the subtle blue of Earth's enduring flag. Captain Lena Reyes stared out at the swirling debris fields, her eyes sharp beneath the helmet's glass. This was no ordinary mission. It was humanity's first step into the deep ruins of an ancient war none had lived to tell. No other species had dared approach this desolation, fearing the echoes of destruction left behind. But humans, with their relentless curiosity and stubborn hope, saw something different. "We've crossed the threshold," Reyes said quietly over comms. "Signals stable, beginning deep scans." The ship's sensors pulsed, sweeping through the drifting fragments of starships and shattered moons. For decades, humanity had mapped the outer reaches of the galaxy. But here was a history written in ruin. Battle cruisers torn apart by weapons that bent space and time. Planets blasted into shards. Yet beneath the desolation lay something else. Technology far beyond human design, dormant and waiting. Suddenly, the Pathfinder's alarms blared. Something stirred in the dark, a pulse of ancient energy, crackling from within a shattered moon on the edge of the system. Unidentified signal, power levels rising. The tactical officer warned. Captain Reyes narrowed her eyes. "This isn't just a graveyard anymore. We woke something up." Without hesitation, the Pathfinder surged toward the source. As it neared, a colossal structure revealed itself. A war custodian ice station, long dormant, its metallic spires cracked but still humming with latent power. A voice echoed in the ship's comm, cold, ancient, and mechanical. "Intruders detected. Identity." Reyes swallowed her rising tension. "We are humans of Earth, explorers. We seek knowledge, not conflict." The AI paused, then responded with a flicker of curiosity. "Humans, unexpected. You awaken a slumbering giant. You tread on ashes that were meant to remain cold." The captain's fingers tightened on the controls. "We don't fear the ashes. We're here to learn and to rebuild." Far from the quiet of Earth, beneath the endless stars, the first spark of a new chapter ignited. The galaxy, long silenced by war, was listening once more. The UNSC Pathfinder had barely docked at the War Custodian Station when the crew realized they were no longer mere explorers. They were pioneers on the frontier of something far greater. Captain Lena Reyes watched as engineers in Zerog suits swarmed the ancient structure, their tools probing centuries-old circuits. "Report, Lieutenant Huang," Reyes called, her voice steady but charged with anticipation. Lieutenant Marcus Huang, the ship's lead engineer, peered at his datapad. "The AI's core is ancient, but its systems are intact, just dormant. We're establishing a link." From the station's depths came a resonant hum. The War Custodian AI, known as Catherian, flickered to life. Its voice was an echo from a forgotten era, equal parts machine logic, and something almost sentient. "Your presence here is anomalous," Catherian said, eyes glowing cold blue. "This sector is under quarantine. The ashes are not for awakening." Reyes stepped forward. "We don't mean to disturb. We want to understand what happened here and how we can rebuild. We've learned from history, and we refuse to repeat the mistakes." Catherian's processors pulsed. The war that ended the stars was born of arrogance. 2 empires consumed themselves, leaving ruin in their wake. The legacy you seek is perilous. Despite the warning, humanity's ambition burned brighter than fear. The Pathfinder's crew quickly began repurposing the ancient technology, turning derelict dreadnoughts into prototype warships and war machines into mining rigs. The Vortheri and Zirun weapons, once instruments of devastation, were carefully dissected and re-engineered. "We're not just scavengers," Rais said during a briefing with her senior officers. "We're the new kings of these ruins, and with what we build here, we'll rewrite the rules." Their first success came swiftly. Using Kitharian's databanks, the engineers restored power to a forgotten foundry hidden beneath the moon's cracked crust. Automated factories sprang back to life, forging new ships from the bones of the old war. But with progress came danger. Kitharian's sensors detected signals beyond their sector. Other survivors, scattered remnants of alien factions who viewed the humans as interlopers. More ominous were the automated defense systems reactivating in the surrounding debris fields. The war custodian warned that ancient fleets lay in wait, programmed to annihilate anything deemed a threat. One night, the Pathfinder's watch officers spotted movement near a derelict Zirun dreadnought. An automated defense turret opened fire without warning. The humans retaliated, triggering a skirmish that sent shockwaves through the sector. Rais gritted her teeth, watching the flickering starship battles on the tactical display. "They don't want us here. They want the ashes to stay cold." But humans were never content with the status quo. As the Pathfinder prepared to defend its claim, Rais looked to Kitharian. "What else do you know about the war? About the weapons? We need every advantage." The AI hesitated, then revealed a secret long buried, a weapon hidden within the shattered core of a battle moon, capable of turning the tide of any conflict. But it came with a chilling caveat. Its power is bound to the souls of the fallen. It is both salvation and curse. Rais met the glowing eyes of her crew. The galaxy's ashes were no longer silent. Humanity had arrived, and they would reshape the fate of the stars, no matter the cost. The cold silence of space shattered with the roar of engines and the shattering boom of plasma cannons. Deep within the Hades reach, a system littered with the ruins of forgotten wars, a dormant battle moon stirred to life. Its once proud surface, scarred and blackened, cracked open as ancient machinery awakened from centuries of slumber. The Fireborn had returned, half machine, half organic remnants of the Zirun Continuum's deadliest experiment. The Fireborn were relentless hunters programmed to purge any anomaly, any life deemed unworthy. They had survived the war by adapting and mutating, a perfect fusion of flesh and war machine. As the first of their dreadnoughts emerged from the moon's shadow, the UNSC Pathfinder sensors flared with alarms. "Contact, multiple hostile signatures, Fireborn class," Lieutenant Huang shouted. The bridge crew scrambled, energy crackling as human ships scrambled into defensive formations. Captain Lena Rais gritted her teeth. "This is no raid. It's a purge. Prepare all weapons and brace for impact." The Fireborn unleashed a storm of destruction. Their dreadnoughts cut through human frigates like razors through paper, deploying swarms of insectoid drones that swarmed ships' hulls. But humanity's response was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. "We fight back," Rais ordered, voice calm but fierce. "Adapt and overcome." In the engineering bay, Lieutenant Huang and his team worked feverishly, hacking into captured Fireborn drone code. They rewrote targeting algorithms, turning the enemy's own machines into weapons against them. Meanwhile, bioengineers began studying the Fireborn's organic components, seeking weaknesses in their hybrid physiology. Admiral Rhea Solis, commanding the rapidly reinforced human fleet from the flagship Resolute, coordinated a daring counterattack. Using modified Zirun weapons scavenged from previous battles, they targeted the Fireborn dreadnought's power cores. Human pilots executed hit-and-run maneuvers, exploiting the hybrid enemy's momentary confusion. The battle climaxed over Europa's icy seas. The Resolute launched a precision strike, firing an electromagnetic pulse that crippled the Fireborn's central control node. Their flagship erupted in a blinding explosion, spiraling into the frozen ocean. But victory came at a terrible price. Several human vessels were lost, and countless lives sacrificed. Status report, Reyes demanded. Casualties are high, but the Fireborn offensive is broken. For now, her tactical officer replied. Still, a dark truth weighed heavily on them all. The Fireborn were evolving. Data showed their combat algorithms adapting faster than expected, learning from each engagement. Kitharian's voice broke the tension. They will return, stronger. The war is far from over. Reyes looked out the viewport at the burning wreckage drifting in Europa's orbit. Then we'll be ready. If the galaxy's ashes are their cradle, we'll be the flame that destroys them. In the quiet aftermath, humanity's resolve hardened. The Fireborn were a storm to weather, but storms could be studied, understood, and conquered. And humanity would rise from these ashes, stronger than ever. The galaxy's ruins were filled with survivors, not just humans, but fractured species clutching to memories of betrayal, loss, and endless conflict. As the human fleet expanded its reach, Captain Lena Reyes and Admiral Rhea Solis faced a new challenge, uniting these wary survivors before old hatreds tore them apart again. The first meeting was tense. On the neutral moon of Valora Prime, representatives from the Drellic, a proud, amphibious species known for their fierce warriors, stood rigidly opposite the insectoid Tatar, whose chitinous exoskeletons gleamed under the cold sun. Between them, the Amanari, ethereal beings of light and energy, observed quietly, their patience thin. Reyes stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. We've all lost too much. Alone, we fall to the ghosts of war. Together, we stand a chance, not just to survive, but to rebuild. Murmurs spread across the assembly. The Drellic chief spat on the ground. Humans speak of peace, yet you claim the ruins as your own. Why should we trust you? Solis, standing beside Reyes, raised her hand. Because we fight for more than survival. We fight for a future where no one is hunted for old grudges. We offer knowledge, technology, and protection. The Fireborn are still out there. They kill without mercy. A heavy silence fell. Then, from the Amanari, a shimmering figure stepped forward. Your courage is known. The galaxy has never seen such resolve. She extended a glowing hand. We will join this alliance. The fragile coalition formed, but trust would not come easily. Joint missions to reclaim lost technology became proving grounds. In one daring operation, the Harmonizers, human and alien forces united, stormed a forgotten Zeroan fortress to disable a dormant superweapon that could obliterate entire systems. The battle was brutal. The Drellic's brutal combat style clashed with the Tatar's precise strikes. Human engineers struggled to keep ancient machines operational under constant fire. But through the chaos, a new respect grew. Lives were saved, victories earned, and grudges softened. Yet not all were pleased. In the shadows, remnants of the Zeroan continuum plotted to shatter the fragile peace. An assassination attempt during a diplomatic summit threatened to ignite war once more. A prominent Drellic elder was found poisoned, and fingers pointed across the table. Reyes moved quickly. Peace is our strongest weapon, she told the assembly. We cannot let fear undo what we have built. I vow to find the traitor, and I will not rest until this alliance is secure. Using a mix of human forensic tech and Amanari psychic insights, the investigation exposed a rogue faction within the Tatar, desperate to reignite old conflicts. The revelation shook the coalition, but also strengthened it. Leaders who once faced each other with suspicion now stood side by side, united by a common enemy and a shared hope. As the summit closed, Solis addressed the crowd. The galaxy's ashes are not just a tomb. They are the seeds of a new beginning. Together, we will rise. The Harmonizers, humans, and their new allies would face many challenges. But for the first time in centuries, the galaxy held a fragile promise: peace through unity. And humanity was leading the way. The uneasy peace forged by humanity and its allies was shattered in the cold darkness of the Voidreach sector. A fleet emerged like a shadow from the remnants of the old Vorthari dominion. Ghost ships cloaked in swirling dark matter, weapons humming with deadly energy. At their helm was Shalmor, the last Vorthari war queen long presumed dead. Her eyes burned with unquenchable fury, her voice a cold promise of revenge. Human scum, she spat during a holo-transmission broadcast to every allied outpost. You defile what we built. I will cleanse the galaxy of your kind. The attack was swift and merciless. Entire colonies vanished overnight, consumed by the Empress's solar weapons, massive, planet-igniting beams that reduced vibrant worlds to cinders in moments. The harmonizers scrambled to respond, but Shalmor's forces moved with precision born from centuries of war. Admiral Rhea Solis led the human fleet in desperate defense, rallying ships around the battered Resolute. Yet even her leadership could not prevent disaster. During a fierce engagement near the shattered world of Kethra, Solis's flagship was caught in a deadly trap. Massive gravity mines tore through the fleet's formation, and as chaos exploded around her, Solis was declared missing in action. The news hit the coalition like a shockwave. Without their greatest leader, morale plummeted. Doubt crept into the ranks. Could humanity and its allies withstand the Empress's wrath? But Captain Lena Reyes refused to yield. Taking command of the Pathfinder and a squadron of fighters, she launched a covert mission behind enemy lines. Her goal: locate Solis and retrieve the secret plans rumored to be hidden in her command ship. As Reyes navigated through the wreckage of battle and the shadowed corridors of the Empress's fleet, she uncovered horrifying truths. Shalmor was not only seeking conquest, she was hunting for an ancient relic, buried deep within the galactic ruins, a weapon of unimaginable power. Reyes's heart raced. If the Empress obtained it, the war would be lost before it truly began. Meanwhile, in the darkness of captivity, Solis worked silently. Her capture was no accident. It was part of a larger plan. She had secret knowledge, tactical data, and experimental technology that could bend space and time itself. The Empress sought to strip that knowledge from her, but Solis's mind was a fortress. Back on the front lines, battles raged with increasing ferocity. The galaxy burned anew, star systems caught in the crossfire. The Alliance's fragile unity was tested as desperation threatened to unravel decades of hard-won trust. In a daring gambit, Reyes made contact with Catherian, the ancient war custodian eye. Together, they devised a plan. A risky strike against the Empress's flagship, aiming to disrupt her command and buy time to rescue Solis. As the fleet prepared for this critical assault, Reyes vowed silently, "We will not let her darkness consume us. The galaxy belongs to those who fight for its future." The war was far from over, but the spark of resistance burned bright, and humanity's fight had only just begun. The galaxy's battleground had shifted from blazing starfields to the unseen war waged in shadows. As the Empress Shalmor tightened her grip, humanity and its allies found themselves locked in a desperate struggle, not just for planets, but for information, trust, and survival. Captain Lena Reyes led a small elite team known as the Shadowbox, experts in infiltration, sabotage, and cyber warfare. Their mission was clear: strike at the heart of the Vorthari war machine and cripple it from within. The target was the Empress's flagship, the Dread Sovereign, a towering vessel bristling with solar weapons and cloaked in an adaptive stealth field. Reyes and her team slipped past patrols using stolen access codes and mastered ancient warship corridors, where silence meant survival. Inside the Dread Sovereign, whispers of betrayal flickered like dying embers. The Empress's council was fractured, their loyalties tested by fear and ambition. Reyes uncovered a web of intrigue. One of the trusted advisors was a double agent, feeding secrets to the Fireborn, the hybrid horrors that still hunted from the galaxy's ashes. Meanwhile, far above the battle, Admiral Rhea Solis used her captivity to sow discord. She covertly hacked the ship's neural network, implanting glitches that caused confusion and mistrust among Shalmore's command. Her resistance was silent but deadly. Back on the battlefield, the Shadowhawks coordinated with alien allies, Trellic warriors striking with brutal precision, Amanari energy mages weaving protective barriers, and T-Tar engineers launching electronic countermeasures. Humanity's unconventional tactics baffled the Empress's forces. But trust was a fragile thing. During a critical operation to seize control of the Dread Sovereign's main weapon systems, a sabotage attempt nearly killed Reyes's second-in-command, Lieutenant Kale. The wound was deep, both physical and political. "Someone wanted us dead," Reyes said grimly, "and they're inside our ranks." The revelation sent ripples through the Harmonizer Alliance. Fingers pointed, accusations flew, and old grievances threatened to ignite into open conflict. Yet, even as suspicion grew, Reyes pushed forward. She knew that survival depended on unity, no matter how difficult. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for the galaxy," she told her team. "Betrayal will not break us." As the final assault on the Dread Sovereign loomed, Reyes faced a painful choice: expose the traitor and risk shattering the alliance, or use the secret to turn the tide in the shadows. Choosing the latter, she launched a covert virus into the ship's AI core, designed to turn the Empress's own weapons against her fleet. The gamble paid off. Explosions ripped through the enemy armada as ancient war machines turned on their masters, sowing chaos. In the aftermath, the Dread Sovereign drifted crippled but unbowed. Solis's secret mission had begun to unravel the Empress's grip, but the war was far from over. The galaxy was a chessboard, and humanity's moves were changing the game forever. The Dread Sovereign floated crippled in the dark void, its shattered hull a stark testament to the Shadowhawks' daring strike. But beneath the surface, a storm brewed that threatened to undo everything humanity and its allies had fought to build. Captain Lena Reyes stood before the Alliance Council, the air thick with suspicion. The identity of the traitor had to be revealed, not just to save the mission, but to preserve the fragile unity between species. "We have evidence," Reyes announced, voice steady but heavy. Lieutenant Kel's near-fatal sabotage was orchestrated from within. "Someone here feeds the Fireborn, and the Vorthari Empress alike." Whispers surged through the chamber. The Drellic chief scowled, the T-Tar ambassador's mandibles twitched, and even the Amanari emissary's luminous form dimmed with concern. Reyes laid out the proof: intercepted communications, tampered systems, and a trail of deception woven through the Alliance's highest ranks. The Council's eyes turned to one figure, Commander Jarrus, a veteran T-Tar officer known for his tactical brilliance but shadowed past. Jarrus's calm veneer cracked. "You accuse me of treason." His voice was low, dangerous. "You mistake strategy for betrayal." But Reyes pressed on. "You passed secrets to the Empress and to the Fireborn. You sabotaged our ships. You merely killed Kale to cover your tracks." "Caught," Jarrus snarled. "I do what I must to protect my people. This alliance weakens us. The Fireborn and the Vorthari will consume us all if we don't act first." The council erupted into chaos. Allies turned against each other, voices raised in anger and fear. The very foundation of their coalition trembled. Amid the turmoil, Reyes raised her hand. "Enough. We must not let fear destroy us." She turned to the Amanari emissary. "What do you see?" The being's eyes shone with ancient wisdom. "This conflict is more than politics. The Fireborn's mutation spreads like a virus, not just of flesh and machine, but of mistrust. Only unity can resist the darkness." Reyes took a breath. "Then Jarrus will stand trial, not by vengeance, but by law. We'll root out the traitors and heal the fractures." Jarrus sneered but was bound by the Council's decision. Meanwhile, deep within the Dread Sovereign, Admiral Rhea Solis worked tirelessly. Freed from immediate threat by the sabotage virus, she now focused on hacking the ship's core systems to rescue the remaining prisoners and gain control. Her fingers flew across the console as encrypted doors slid open. Prisoners, scientists, engineers, diplomats emerge, weary but alive. Solus sent a covert message to Reyes. Prepare for extraction. Time is short. As the Shadowhawks prepared their final assault, Reyes felt the weight of countless lives on her shoulders. The traitor's gambit had nearly torn them apart, but the fight for the galaxy's future was not over. She glanced out at the stars beyond the viewport. The ashes of war still smoldered, but humanity's flame burned brighter than ever. "We will rise," she whispered. Together. The dread sovereign shuddered as the Shadowhawks' strike teams surged through its crippled corridors. Captain Lena Reyes led the charge, heart pounding with the weight of the galaxy's fate. Around her, humans and allies fought side by side, pushing back the dying defenses of the Vorthuri War Queen's fortress. Admiral Rhea Solis, freed from her prison, stood at the ship's command bridge, racing against time to seize control. Her fingers danced across the console, overriding the ship's failing systems and redirecting power to emergency thrusters. "Reyes, I'm initiating the self-destruct sequence," Solis's voice crackled through comms. "We can't let this weapon fall back into the Empress's hands." "Understood," Reyes replied. "Get us out of here." The Pathfinder and its escorts launched a desperate evacuation, weaving through plasma fire and debris. Explosions bloomed behind them as the dread Sovereign's reactors reached critical mass. From the viewport, Reyes watched the War Queen's ship erupt in a cathedral of fire and light. The blast rippled through the void, a phoenix's final cry as ashes scattered into the stars. But the victory was hard-won. Losses weighed heavy, fallen comrades, shattered alliances, and scars that would linger long after the war's end. In the aftermath, the Alliance gathered on Valora Prime, the same moon where fragile hopes had first taken root. Leaders from every race stood united, their voices resolute. Admiral Solis addressed the crowd, her presence a beacon of strength. "The Empress is gone, but the threats born of war's ashes remain. We must guard against the darkness within, and forge a future of light and unity." Captain Reyes stepped forward, eyes bright with conviction. "Humanity came to the ashes as survivors. We stand now as guardians. Together, we will rebuild the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as protectors." The Alliance pledged a new era, one of shared knowledge, mutual defense, and enduring peace. Far beyond, in the silent depths where stars were born, a spark flickered. The galaxy's ashes were no longer just a graveyard. They were the fertile soil for rebirth. Humanity's flame had ignited a revolution of hope, and the stars themselves seemed to pulse with possibility. As the last embers faded, Reyes gazed upward. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. From ashes, stars would rise.